Morning, everybody, and welcome back to another video on Behind the Curtain of Leadership. Today I'm talking about trust in leadership, and probably in a different way than you've heard before, especially if you're new to leadership. So when we think about trust, we have to keep in mind that each of us is running a program belief system in our subconscious mind. This belief system is formed and reinforced by the experiences we have beginning as infants. And why this is important is we all have our own opinions about trust, what it is, how important it is. Can we trust others? Can others trust us? What's been our experience with trust in other human beings? And I'll go deeper into this subconscious belief system in a later video, but when you ask people to describe a core leadership trait, most will say trust or trustworthiness is in the top three, right? And when you think about any significant relationship you've had or have with anyone, trust is also usually going to be at the top of that list. So why is trust so important, especially in leadership? Now, during the thousands of one-off conversations I've had over my 45 years with individuals trying to understand their culture and why something is or isn't working in their company, the idea of trust always comes up. While it typically was regarding leadership, it also comes up regarding coworkers. Can I trust my coworkers? Do we have a culture of trust with the people around me? So what is trust? How do you earn it? Why is it so important? And what happens when you lose it? So basically, trust at the simplest level is the belief that someone will consistently do what they said they would do, right? This could be doing something or not doing something. For example, if I tell someone I won't repeat something they told me in confidence, and then I do repeat it, they won't trust me. Conversely, if I tell someone I will share their ideas with others, and then I don't share it, they also won't trust me. I mean, what could be easier than that, right? Basically, does someone do what they said they would do? So if you think about it, what's the common thing leaders do with their teams? Communicate, right? Do it all the time. Formally, informally, we communicate all the time. It could be verbally, it could be written documents, it could be emails, it's through our actions, all of those ways. So if you've watched my last video, you'll understand the various forms of communication and how words affect people. But let's keep going. So communication is one of the most important things we do. So when we think about trust in leadership, communication in various forms becomes one of the biggest factors in developing trust. It seems logical, and I think we all understand this, right? But one of the more subtle and many times overlooked areas of how trust is established or lost is when you're drawn into conversations and discussions when you may make comments that are internalized and remembered by people around you, even though you don't realize this is happening. And if you forget these comments and don't follow through, it will affect how much those individuals trust you. So, as an example, if I'm a leader and I'm having a casual conversation with a few people, and in that conversation I say something like, yeah, I need to take care of that problem, and then I don't, it erodes trust with those people. Now, I may have thought we were just kind of talking, but that doesn't mean everyone else took it that way. I've watched this happen many, many times. I've experienced myself many times, especially with newer leaders or those who were promoted and haven't yet experienced how much people are actually listening to everything you as the leader say. Leadership carries a great deal of responsibility every minute of every day, and you have to remember this. So, how do you earn trust? Well, it really isn't that hard if you remember what trust is, but it takes time and exposure to situations that will test your consistency and trustworthiness. If you say one thing and do something else once, it's probably okay. But if you do it consistently, it's not okay. And people will not trust you. So doing what you said you'll do is the easiest way to gain trust, but that takes a lot of time, right? A lot of interactions with people. So let's look at another way. And it's something that I've personally done on many occasions. So let's use an example. Let's say you're new to a leadership role and there are 30 people on your team and you don't know everybody that well. And how long do you think it's going to take for you to have an opportunity with each person to gain their trust? Long time, right? There's actually another way, and that's by giving trust first. Now, many times I've walked into a new business with a goal of helping that business work through problems or situations. And when I do, I ask questions to help me understand and diagnose their problems. And the questions I ask are usually about what's not working, which means they have to be willing to share sensitive information with me. Now, of course, they aren't willing to do that until I can establish and prove that they can trust me, which could take a long time. So what I've done in these situations is I share something of myself first to see if I can trust them. Now, what I share is never too sensitive, and if it comes back on me, it isn't going to do any harm, and it's a little bit of a test. And if they do betray my trust offering, then I know whatever they tell me during my work probably isn't completely true. But if they don't betray my trust, then I will offer a little bit more. And fairly quickly, we're developing and honoring a trusting relationship because they realize that I've trusted them first and they respect that. It's a subtle change in how you approach developing trust, but it works and it's very effective. And it kind of reminds me of this Ernest Hemingway quote that says, the best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them, right? And that's what I'm saying here. So taking this to the next step, is trust really that important? Well, since it's in the top 3 of every survey on the most important things about leadership, you would think the answer is yes. But it's just not quite that easy. It's surprising, but not as uncommon as you think, to find people in leadership position who play games with trust. And to these leaders, real trust is not that important. These games are used to manipulate people, to get them to do what this leader wants, but has nothing to do with really earning trust. It's simply a game to manipulate people. Now look, anytime you're in leadership, true leadership, there can be no games when it comes to trust. You remember the 3 core elements of leadership: positive emotional connection, inspiring others to improve, care more about the team's goals than your own goals. Manipulation and games are never part of leadership, and especially with trust. Leaders lead by example, and if the example they are setting is one of mistrust, the team will not follow them. Which brings me to the last point. What if you lose the trust of your team or a member on your team? Now, to be honest, I've seen this a few times where a leader was actually replaced after losing the team's trust simply because they could no longer be effective. It didn't matter what they tried, it was just over. Now, breaking someone's trust is usually worse than never having earned their trust in the first place. Now, there will be situations where you, as a leader, have earned a team's trust, but maybe there's an issue with 1 or 2 individuals or a specific instance where you were unable to follow through with a commitment. Okay, it happens. The only thing you can do in this situation is to be as honest as possible with these individuals or the entire team and explain what happened. And this is where I've seen ineffective leaders struggle, as they either don't think it's necessary to explain themselves or they see it as a weakness to admit they've made a mistake. And nothing could be further from the truth. It is important, and it is not a weakness to admit a mistake. It shows honesty, sincerity, and respect for the people affected. Do not underestimate the importance of this if you inadvertently find yourself in this situation. When you think about leading by example, trust is a critical area. If you're a leader in business, family, community, friends, people are always watching you as the leader. Never ever think there's a time when someone isn't watching or trust isn't important. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this. I once stayed out of town for several months working in one of our companies, and when my stay was over, the hotel refunded all the taxes I paid since I was there for more than 90 consecutive days. Now, since I'd been submitting the full amount, including taxes, on my expense reports monthly, and the company was reimbursing me, now I had a choice. I'd already been reimbursed by the company for the taxes, and the hotel has now refunded all my taxes back to me as well. So I could either keep the refund or I could give it back to the company. So when I called our finance team and explained what was going on, they really didn't have an idea how to process this and said, well, nobody's ever tried to give money back. And eventually we figured it out, and I gave them the money, and it was never really in question for me. I never knew who might have been watching this or if they would have ever found out had I not told them. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was I was leading the example I wanted to see from others. As leaders, we always give first without regard to anything we might receive. And in the matter of trust, this is especially true. To sum this all up with trust, trust is basically doing what you said you would do. And if you're not going to do it, don't say you will. Number two, it's one of the most important factors in true leadership because if people don't trust you, they will not listen to you. They will not follow you. Number three, you earn trust by consistently doing what you said you were going to do and living the example you expect to see from others. And number four, protect the trusting relationships you've developed because if you ever lose trust, you may never get it back. So thanks for watching today, and I hope this had some kind of a small impact on you and how you view your role as a leader or in your personal life. And next time we're going to be talking about how you get the team to buy into your message as a leader. Now, keep in mind there are two kinds of buy-in we're going to be talking about. There's the kind true leaders want, which is emotional buy-in, and then there's the kind most ineffective leaders settle for, which is intellectual buy-in. Hope you can tune in, and thank you again, and take care.